really good, and only like just stupid defensive clearances, 2 goals. Basically, just a defender. A couple of times, Man City were pressing them high, and just thinking, just get rid of this. And he still tried to play the same ball. They got caught a couple of times trying to play the same ball. So a little basic thing. I wouldn't put it down as like bad performance overall or anything like that. I think we're winning the game. And then obviously the week before, controversy, and they should have won a game. So a couple of things went against them in the last few weeks, but went their way today. And after going behind as well, and Villa looked up for it. So it was a good away win for them.
Yes, we had the ball coming off the crossbar from Jorginho and off the head of Emi
Martinez. A little
Martinez.
bit of luck, you need it.
Yeah, Emi Martinez.
He didn't have it in the last few weeks, so
the villain gets his comeuppance.
Martinez is kind of, I don't know, he's one of the icons of sort of the last few months anyway in terms of football, but has to be up there with one of the games of the season, JD.
Why?
Oh my God! I mean, the quality of the play in general. Coutinho's goal, I don't know if you
saw that yet.
Like just.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Like I don't know, Kevin. That sort of a goal, like, and the quality of that, and the passing, and that led up to the goal, and just Arsenal's response in the second half, and like Odegaard missed an absolute sitter with about 10 minutes to go, like a sitter, almost like an open goal, brilliantly set up by Nketiah. It could have been kind of selfish, and you're looking at Arteta on the sideline, and you're wondering because, when they were losing in the first half, JD, were Arsenal to lose this game today? I was talking about sort of big wins that they've had in terms of if they are to win the title. I definitely thought the win over Man United was one of these games that if they are to win the title, they look back at that. But today has to be right up there because Villa were very good. Arsenal are obviously going to drop points against teams like Villa as the season progresses. Villa are going to take points off very good teams. Played some great football in the first half. I mean, it could have gone either way. The Bailey shot off the crossbar 2-2, one of the most outrageous bits of control on the far sideline, where it's this long punted ball and he's kind of facing into the crowd with his back to the main part of the pitch, and suddenly kind of hooks the ball with his left foot almost on the instep, like ridiculous technique, smashes it off the bar, and then Arsenal go down, create a chance. It was ding dong, as you mentioned, in the third goal, and then the fourth goal, the icing on the cake. But interesting, the interviews afterwards, Zinchenko and I can't remember who the other Arsenal player was, but they just want to go back in the dressing room. There seems to be a brilliant togetherness about them. And as Kevin says, as much as the Man City game, in light of the points that they've dropped in the last few games, was a major blip. They didn't play that badly, but I think going to sleep tonight, this collective bunch of players 3 points ahead, I think they'll be very, very happy that they've overcome this little blip, because they showed massive character today. And I think what really encouraged me in terms of Arsenal was they were very, very true to their principles in the second half, JD. They just kept passing the ball. They created lots and lots of chances. It was a humdinger of a game. So often we get these early games that are sort of soporific or whatever, no atmosphere. This had everything. It was a brilliant, brilliant game of football.
So you still think they're in the mix for the title, do you, Kevin?
Yeah, they're top of the league, definitely. My worry for them, especially Saliba or Gabriel, actually. Saliba today, I thought he could have done better in the first goal. Saliba, I just see a couple of ricks. They play really well. They're good defenders, but they just seem to have a rick in them. Like I was talking about the Man City game, the clearances. I don't mean boot the ball long or anything like that. They still play football, but just miss, man. They were under pressure. Just clip one. Miss that first man. Always trying to play. They just seem like they give away silly penalties. He was lucky in that Man City game as well. I think it was Gabriel.
There was Gabriel, yeah. He
just saved by an offside, but clumsy. That'd be my one position for them that I'd worry about until the end of the season. Everyone says they're there too soon. They're a year or two still to develop. And everything.
What about striker? I mean, Jesus is injured, Kevin. What about the fact that Nketiah missed a couple of chances the other day? I know they scored 4 today, but forward power, is that something?
My young fella was just saying that to me. They need him back. What you call him up front? He was on about how they're missing him. I don't know. They managed to score a goal. Saka's strike as well. Like they've got goals all over the pitch. Odegaard scores goals. He'd be one actually. If he just a little bit recently, his performance I think have dipped in the last few weeks. Looking at him, there was a little incident. I don't know if you noticed it in the Man City game. In the tunnel, they were coming out, him and Haaland, and laughing and giggling with each other. And then at half time as well. It's a massive, massive game. And I know their teammates.
Channeling your inner Roy Keane over here.
I know I am. I sound like a grumpy old man here. But the two of them are at the halfway line. Like the kickoff was literally happening, and they're talking with their hands over their mouth and they're giggling as if this is great crack. Like do that afterwards, lads, or whatever. Come on, massive game. And I really like he's a fabulous player, obviously, but I just think he's dipped a little last week. I just didn't like that side. I just think, you know what, lads, this isn't the time or the place for hands over your mouth, giggling and messing for 5 minutes before the second half. Massive 45 minutes coming up. Concentrate here. He's so important to Arsenal. So just a few little things that'd be, but then maybe that's just me being a bit older and crankier. And
well, I think in fairness that miss I'm on about there, JD, like he shanked it so badly. I think there was a slight psychological kink there where maybe he is going through a little bit of a blip. There's no way a player of his technical quality should miss that. Like, and we spoke about cliches. I hate this, you got to hit the target, but he missed the target so badly there. It was like you literally had an open goal. It was such a vital moment in the title race. I think there was about 10 minutes left, and yeah, he'd a couple of moments there where you're like, that's not the Odegaard we know, but nice to see a bit of Roy Keane coming out there.
Roy Doyle or Kevin Keane, I don't know which it'll be. But Brentford, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea, Southampton, Everton, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Man City and Wolves, Bournemouth, all 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League and all goalless right now. Newcastle, Liverpool 5:30, Millwall 3, Sheffield United 2 is a result from the Championship, and there have been a goal there elsewhere. Blackpool 1, Stoke 0, important for Mick McCarthy. That they've gone ahead, and Huddersfield 0, Birmingham City 1. So that's what's going on. Good to see Cork City back in the League of Ireland. I know you're Wexford man, Kevin, but Cork back in the top flight.
Brilliant, yeah. I was meant to be actually working on that game last night with RT, but I was at the Wexford Waterford game. My young fella's team were doing mascots and things like that, so I didn't get down to see the Cork game. But yeah, important, how well they do or not this season. It's just important to have Cork back. See the crowd there last night. It's a proper football club in the League of Ireland, and they need to be in the Premier Division.
Dan will talk about this, but in order of merit, there were lots of celebrities at League of Ireland games last night. Kevin Doyle, obviously in Wexford, Roy Keane in Turner's Cross, David Clifford in Tralee. It was all happening. There's no longer only one sport in Kerry, Dan.
Yeah, I'd like to say I've just arrived back from Tralee, but I actually just got held up coming.
But that would be a legitimate.
But yeah, it's a long old day on the road. It's a long way.
I can't believe you came back last night. Yeah. I mean, surely they would put you up for the night.
Well, I could have.
I
could have done that, but the alternative then is getting up this morning at
That's lots of coffee and donuts.
7 a.m. and you can't really.
What time did you get back?
There's a lot of people.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. job. Yeah. But David Clifford was there. A few other, like Darren O'Sullivan, quite a few other sort of inter-county past or present stars. Niall Quinn was at that game as well too.
John and Waters lads was in Wexford last night.
John Walters.
Paul McGrath was at the game last night, so there's another couple for you.
Yeah, it's John Walters, Paul McGrath and Kevin Doyle, Niall Quinn, David Clifford, all at First Division matches last night. When you think about it, like the League of Ireland First Division, I mean, some people say the Premier Division's gone a bit hipster, but now the First Division is suddenly now, who knows? You can go to Bray next week and who will you see? Like, who are you going to see in Bray?
Katie Taylor.
I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I suppose you use the word novelty. There's a danger of it sounds patronising in some way, but just the idea of going to Kerry for a football match or a soccer match, as they might say down there, and I mean, look, they've got a long way to go. I mean, there's absolutely no disputing that.
Where is it in Kerry, by the way?
So it's in Tralee. It's in Mount Hawk Park, which is. I suppose, I don't know if people listening here have been to Tralee. I'm not sure if I'd been to Tralee before. I've been to Kerry quite a bit, but I don't know if I've been to Tralee.
Tralee is very much the poor relation in Kerry. It's and the locals will give out about it. Like, it's kind of, Tralee isn't given at all.
Be careful, Johnny.
Yeah, this is it. It's I know Kerry well, and Tralee people will say, oh, sure, it's all about Killarney and Dingle and all that. But yeah, so a lot of...
Yeah, it's a 15-minute walk from the town. I mean, sometimes the issues, and Kevin would know this probably with Wexford, where the ground is located, and I know that in Longford, a few other places, it's not the easiest thing to do
to
have a couple of drinks and say, walk out to the stadium. But you can, it is possible to do that. In Tralee, it's a bit of a walk, but I mean, there was just such a good buzz around the place. Even just the security staff, as people were coming in, were like, "Where's your ticket? Where's your seat?" There was that sense of sort of freshness around it. Now, I would have spoken to some people for a piece I had in the paper today, in particular, sort of a Kerry fan. It was like a Kerry GEA season ticket holder, always wanted a team to support, and would have made the point that actually in Tralee there's a lot of people for whom the first love actually will be football or soccer. I know Gary O'Neill, who plays for Shamrock Rovers, is from Tralee, and don't think he'd be say from a big GEA family. They do, these families do exist, or these people do exist now. There's a lot of people there from all sorts of codes, and Maurice Fitzgerald's nephew was playing for last night, was playing for Kerry, whose mother is an All-Ireland winner as well with the Kerry ladies, and his His dad is a basketball star, and like basketball will be quite popular as well.
Yeah, Kieran Donaghy,
particularly in Tralee. So. Like there is, I mean, I was just struck going down there yesterday. Picked up some of the local papers, 6-7 pages, like the works. There's a huge local media presence, Radio Kerry live commentary. It's like, as you would know, I've been to Kerry a lot, Johnny, and anyone has. Like it has its own sort of sporting landscape there in terms of the media coverage around their teams, and it seems like Kerry FC has been embraced into this. Now it's step one. Chances are they're going to finish closer to the bottom than the top this year. I mean, Shane Keegan's here with us a lot. I think his Cove side are probably going to be stronger this year than they were last year. But in the first half, okay, they're a bit nervous, whatever. Second half, I was able to just go round and be sort of walking around.
Channel your inner Con Houlihan.
Went behind the goals, and they really got going. They had a couple of good chances. And it was just I think it was a positive enough experience. And like, how many times have we sat here in the last couple of years or in general and spoken about one of the biggest failings in the League of Ireland by a mile is that, as Johnny Ward's phone goes off, is that there's just huge parts of the country who won't identify with it, even if, okay, people are curious about it, but they don't really have a thing to go. And how people support teams in this country, it's quite unusual for Kerry people to suddenly start supporting Cork, because of how our it works with Gaelic football and hurling. So across boundaries, it does happen a little bit. There's a Mayo people might go and watch Sligo Rovers, but naturally the preference would be to have their own team. So I think this has got a potential to grow. I was speaking to some people there afterwards. I mean, they know it's a long game. I think, for like 14, there is a history of talented underage teams there, but they're only starting still, really, and they hope that having this team at the top of the pyramid, top of the pathway, or at the end of the pathway as such, helps to encourage people to take it on even more. I think it can only be a good thing, and I hope people stick with it down there if results are tough this year. But I think they're sort of prepared for that. That's the sense I'm picking up.
I was in Inchicore. Sorry if I'm interrupting you, Judy. I was in Inchicore, and
St. Pat's Derry, was it?
That was effectively sold out. Like, it was sold out in the sense that Derry didn't entirely fill their away allocation, which was big, but it was otherwise sold out. Cork was sold out. Sligo probably sold out against Shamrock Rovers. There was a big crowd in Finn Harps for a team that are going to struggle. I think certainly will make the playoffs at best this season. Finn Harps, big crowd. But the crowd in Wexford, Kevin, I mean, there's a rising. I couldn't get over. Wexford have been definitely one of those teams that have struggled to get support. Massive crowd down there in relative terms.
Nightmare trying to get in there last night. The game was delayed. There was 1,500 tickets sold before the game, before the day of the game, and then on the day, then the amount of people that turned up. Obviously, local derby playing Waterford, new manager and sort of in Wexford, and it was jam packed. You couldn't get any more in there. It was definitely a sellout. Like, you couldn't fit any more in there. Mayhem in the car park with people parking here, there, and everywhere, getting bogged and everything last night down there, pushing people out of the car park about 10:30 last night. So it was nice to see. Great.
Will
great
you come back?
Place was looking great. Pitch was looking great. Didn't get to see too much of the game because 30 young fellas to 30 10-year-olds to try keep an eye on and manage for the night, but it was brilliant.
That's a tougher job than
the League One game as well.
That's a tougher job than minding your horses, is it?
I'm telling you, I had to come home and have a few bottles of beer. I was stressed out. Young lads climbing fences and all sorts last night, so they enjoyed themselves anyway. And for those little things like that, they were all saying they're going to go back to another game. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, the Inchicore was like, I was down the country, Judy, and I happened to be in Inchicore early, which is unusual for me. But I came in at about 6 o'clock. Nearly 2 hours before kickoff, loads of people queuing and loads of people around the ground. All the bars seem to be full. A lot of Derry fans around. Unbelievable buzz. And to see this in the League of Ireland, and whether it will continue throughout the season or not, but I've never in my years, I started supporting the League of Ireland in 97, never experienced anything remotely like the buzz that's there right now. And long may it last. And Galway United's first home game is next weekend, so it'll be interesting to see will the crowd come into Terryland as well after a good win against Finn Harps. But
Johnny Ward not boycotting Galway United, to be clear. This is one of his big things last year.
Yeah.
Back. They hook him back in. It's like a sort of a relationship that's bad for you.
Apologies
you know?
to Ollie Horgan and John Caulfield. I know one of them was booked and the other was sent off, or vice versa last night, but there's going to be a lot of crack this season, and it was a great result. But I don't know, I got so much of a buzz just looking at the crowds. Turner's Cross sold out, and there's a lot of drama. The Derry Pats game, you know, there's a lot to talk about there in terms of the quality there, and Derry denied late on. Shamrock Rovers begin tonight, JD, but fantastic to see that people are latching on to this. Anecdotally, I think, you know, season tickets are up 20% or so on last year.
Do you feel there's a younger generation have got a kind of a vibe about this game?
Yeah, like
less cynical possibly towards it. I mean, I think that, look, I mean, sometimes you just have to stop like preaching about go to games. You naturally have to encourage people to do it, but like I think, you know, like people at a certain age like probably grew up remembering the League of Ireland to be something, and that always lingers in some ways, you know, whereas now I suppose if you're, well, like you talk about the kids that are 10, 12 now going to games, like their first experience of it is this, you know, slightly more fuller crowds. And I think a big thing that has probably helped in recent years is, and it was a very contentious move to bring in the national underage leagues to give sort of the power to the League of Ireland clubs, and there's a football side to that which you can debate, but certainly like clubs no longer exist as just one team of 18 players, a senior men's side, and that's it. Like a lot of the clubs now exist as that team, but also all the way down the age groups. So whatever, do your sums on the kids, the parents, you know, they are encouraged to go to the first team game. A lot of them have got women's clubs, teams on board, not all of them, but they're getting there. And as a result, I think that contributes in a big way to it, that there's a sense of belonging in some ways that, you know, in a league where often at first team level still quite transient, players will come and go a lot, but below it you're sort of building a little bit of a base, and clubs have realised you can't just like preach people say come and support Irish football just because it's Irish or something. It's more a case of, well, do you have some benefit to offer to this community? You know, are you doing more than that? And obviously some clubs have been further along the line than others, and there's all sorts of factors that we'll talk about. I'm not mad on going into this line of things, but we'll talk about Man United and Qatar today, right? That's something we're going to speak about. And all the takeover stuff, and the Premier League, of course, it's where it's at. It's the best league in the world at the moment. It's better than it's ever been, you can argue, but there's, in some ways, I think there are some people who will feel a disconnect from elements of it, you know, just from the sense of, okay, yeah, this is a bit sort of foul in aspects of it. So the idea of maybe having a slightly different relationship with football in a slightly different way, somewhere closer to home, while still enjoying the Premier League club and the great football.
You can do both.
Absolutely. And I think, but like, you know, the fellow I spoke to from Kerry, big Liverpool fan, but just, you know, probably a little bit more detached, wanted something local. There's nothing wrong, like, and there's enough room in our lives to try and accommodate and fit all these things.
I don't think I know one League of Ireland fan who doesn't watch the Premier League. Like, let's be honest here. You know, it's, if you're a League of Ireland fan, you're a football fan. And I would have been a lot more sort of militant on that as a kid, was like, support your local team. But no, it's not like that. But I think we've gotten the product right, JD, or certainly a lot better, where teams pass the ball now, the pitches are better, it's summer football. And those of us who, maybe around my age, who grew up watching those early League of Ireland games on TV and couldn't watch them because they were crap, may hopefully now revisit that, because, and you know, you're close to the Lyons family. You see Andy Lyons go over and doing well at Blackpool, and all these players make it a fairly seamless transition from League of Ireland to a good level in England. Shows that the standard is, for me anyway, is definitely improving. 53106 for your text messages. Kevin Doyle, Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward on the show today. Lads, sold out Turner's Cross, good atmosphere, but they won't hold the crowd if they continue playing the putrid way they did last night. Cork City, more like Stoke City, says Mick in Cork. It's a big step up.
And if Shamrock Rovers beat Sligo tonight, says Johnny Ward, going to declare a title race between Rovers and Bows, says Graham in Dublin.
Derry, I thought were very good last night. I think, you know, they were missing key players, and it was one of those, Dan can relate to this. I did the report for RT, so it's an online report and you can change it you know, fairly seamlessly, but it was one of these reports where effectively with a minute to go, I'd said Derry had more or less control of the game. Brian Maher hadn't a save to make. Then St. Pat's forced 4 corners in a row and they make it a 1-1 draw, and the narrative changed. But I thought Derry were very good, and they are going to go very, very close this season, I think.
Kevin Doyle, Evan Ferguson's back in the Brighton team today against Fulham. Just obviously very interested as a former Republic of Ireland striker on your views and his progression.
Yeah, he looks such potential, you know, physically, size-wise. His ability to score goals, sort of any type of goal from what I've seen, I'd love to see him live actually and just watch him play for 90 minutes to give you, I might get that chance with Ireland, maybe, I don't know, but see him up in Dublin, but to actually see his movement, see what he's like, so you can only take so much from highlights and from cameras at games. You really want to see him and watch him during the game. But great potential. The way we've had over the last few years, like Troy Parrott, and he's doing really well, Troy, but we're so bigged up and there's so much pressure. I suppose because we're desperate now for a new centre forward, and from an Irish, us, media, everyone, we put a lot of pressure on young lads and analyse them so much and look at them every week, and if they score a goal, they're given hyped up so much, and if they have a bad few months, I'm thinking of Aaron Connolly again, another one, started really well for 3 or 4 months and then has disappeared a little bit, and one with such potential. So I don't want to, you don't want to be, you want him to learn, like he's so young. Is he still 17?
18 now,
18,
yeah.
You don't, like, he has so much to learn that you don't want to be, looking at him week on week and going, oh, he's having a good week, a bad week, because he's starting out. But he has all the attributes from what I've seen, and just from snippets, really, I suppose. Physically, he looks like, he don't look like an 18-year-old. He looks like he can handle himself. So, and he's getting games and scoring goals and making an impact. That's so important. Coming off the bench, making an impact. A great potential. Could be honestly, could be a superstar, or in a couple of years we mightn't be talking about him anymore. You just don't know. So at that age it could go, you get too much too young or whatever, injuries. It just want to see more in the next year or 2 years before you really start to
Kevin will relate to this Cheltenham coming upon you quickly, but like the March International come upon us quickly, and in fairness, like Dan had a piece the other day in the Independent about Stephen Kenny's striker options, and all of a sudden things don't look that bad. And I think it might be worth pointing out as well, the likes of Obafemi, Parrott and Ida, there's a bit more of an onus on them now to almost up their game if they're really in, because I think Ferguson is definitely number one at the moment.
Good move for Obafemi to get to a club that's still be promoted to the Premier League.
Yeah, scored during the week. Yeah.
But I think Ferguson might actually lift the others to an extent, because I don't think any of them is guaranteed a place at all now. I think that's fair to say.
The only thing with Ferguson, Evan, he's only, like, has he started? Has he played? Like, he's only come on for it. I can't recall him starting. Has he started? Did he start last friendly?
Not for Ireland, no.
No, he came on for.
So it's a big ask. Like, if he's our born striker or whatever, he's put to bring him into an Irish squad now, and he's meant to start, and the pressure on him. On an 18-year-old, maybe because he's 18, actually, he'd be grand. If he
I don't think he does pressure, though, to be honest. Like, we spoke about this when he was sort of coming on the scene. I think when he scored against Arsenal, it was like, could he actually start now? And at the time, we're like, probably not. But, like, to be honest, like, he's playing against every bit as good a defender, Kevin, I think. I think Dan has made this point a bit, is that, like, the way that game will be, the Ireland-France game, in terms of what Evan Ferguson will be required to do, is obviously going to be very challenging for him.
Yeah, no, listen, you'd imagine, right, France will have 70% possession. And he'll be up front and trying to hold the ball up, trying to bring people into play. Another side of his game that is difficult as an 18-year-old, but physically he should be able to do it. But it's not something he'd been grown up doing the last few years. He'd have been in a setup where he'd been all football, and that side of it would be a bit different. So I suppose whether Stephen thinks he can do that, whether he, Adam Ida is another one who probably is more suited to that role. His experience of doing that role for Ireland, and Stephen probably trusts him to do that. So whether he'd want to poison Evan with that for 90 minutes, if you know what I mean. Great to play against France, but an 18-year-old who'd mightn't touch the ball for long periods of the game and is just basically a workhorse.
I wouldn't be as negative on that on Ireland, though. Like, France aren't a massive possession team either necessarily. Like, it's not going to be as. And in fairness, Ireland against good teams, Kevin, have been really, really competitive. Especially, like, we will be competitive in the game. It's not going to be backs against the wall for 90 minutes.
It depends on the France that shows up as well. We spoke about this in November after the friendlies. After, was it the Norway or the Malta was the last friendly game? It depends on France in the World Cup. People retiring.
Yeah, the hangover.
How they come out of the World Cup. How they come out of that final, whether we catch them on the hop, it's probably the best time to play France, to be honest with you. When you come back into a squad like that after a World Cup, I'd imagine they're going to be like, here we go again. Now started another thing. It's hard to get going again. So if we're going to play them, now is probably the time to catch them on the hop. We have actually played well. You're right, against bigger teams. We've probably played better football against bigger teams actually than the smaller teams, but we still haven't got a result against any of them. A meaningful result.
We drew Portugal at home. I mean, I think that was.
But like, as in, when we need one. Like our wins were Andorra, Azerbaijan, Qatar, Luxembourg, Lithuania, Armenia, and Malta under Stephen. So this is the one where he needs to get, in the next, for him, for his management career, for the team, for us, for Ireland, he needs to spring a win, a big win, an Irish sort of, historic win that we do pull out of the bag every few years. To start off, imagine starting off the group with a win against France. How attitudes would change. Very difficult to do. But he needs one. We need to find one from somewhere. For to qualify for anything, we need to win the odd big game. I'm not saying we're going to go out and boss France or beat them every week or expect to. But the odd one, you need to, whether you get luck or whatever, you need to find a way to win one of those odd big games to give yourself a chance.
I was asking people on Twitter during the week, the best ever Republic of Ireland performance. Most people said France 09.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
I think people. I remember watching the game as a kid, but I don't really recall in details. A lot of people would say Wembley in '91.
Ray Houghton missed decision.
That in terms of like people talk about Jack Charlton's team in a particular way, but as a football display, that was one of the best Ireland performances, and that was a tournament. That was the one tournament that Ireland didn't qualify for in that cycle, and that seems to figure high, but. I mean, well, listen. Like we've someone on the line who remembers 2009 very clearly. I mean, that was an awesome display.
Yeah, how well do we play, Kevin?
We were really, really good. Now, listen, we lost the game, so I'm a bit like
whatever.
We should have won the game. That really pisses me off. That game, it should have never got to Thierry's handball and all that.
Yeah.
We were that good. I missed a chance in the first. We all played really well. We missed a few chances. I should have scored in the first half. But we had chances, and that's what annoys me about that game more than anything.
How are you able to play like that, Kevin? How are you able to play like that under that regime? Like, why was that not more normal? It was just it was such an outlier. And you're looking at the Chippy documentary the other night with Tardelli, and you're like, they were great buds and all that, but you think, like, I mean, we played a fairly horrible brand of football at times, but not that night. It was just like, what happened?
Was it the players taking ownership, Kevin?
That campaign, we were better. I think our brand of football sort of Wonder Trap was tired in the last year or two. Actually, that first campaign wasn't too bad. That game obviously stands out in how we played. And there was always talk about on a bus, we had a team meeting, we said we'd just go and do our own thing, which never happened, unless I was excluded. Which could have been the case.
You're probably watching.
You know what? We played at home. What was the score going into it? 1-0 to France, was it?
1-0, it was an Elka, wasn't it?
And I suppose this is the second leg, we've nothing to lose. We're going out there, lads. Listen, if we're going to stay, if we're going to go to World Cup, there's no point in sitting behind the ball. We're 1-0 down. We can't sit behind for 90 minutes. And we played 4-4-2. And I think it just surprised them that we pressed them, we chased everything and played good football. And I think they were just expecting us to sit back, be hard to break down, boot it along, whatever. And it wasn't like that. And really caught them on the hop, and they could never get going. They couldn't match our intensity. Intensity wasn't for 10 minutes. Our intensity was for 90 minutes. I remember that game just being absolutely shattered afterwards. Everyone was the same. Everyone played as well as they, there was no 7 out of 10s. We'd all just played 9 out of 10. There was no tactical genius or anything about it. It was very normal build up, normal where we were set up. It was just, I suppose, one of those nights, cup final type feeling game we had to win. I think, you're doing a Twitter poll about great Irish performances. I would imagine most people replying on Twitter probably are at the age where that's the game they remember, and they don't remember ones before that, because listen, Ireland have had fabulous results.
Yeah, the Grey Houghton did reply.
3-0 against
Grey Houghton's was the Scotland game in '87. So it wasn't even the England game in Stuttgart or the Giant Stadium when we won at a major tournament against a team that reached the final. So it's interesting.
3-0 against the USSR has gotten to be
Liam Brady, or Hanover against the Soviets, the one I put in. Watching that as a kid, I thought we played brilliantly well.
When you're talking about countries that no longer exist, you do feel your age. It's kind of like...
Yeah, Arsenal winning 4-2 against Aston Villa earlier on in the Premier League. Brentford, Palace, Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea, Southampton, Everton, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Man City, Wolves, Bournemouth, all goalless in the Premier League. In the Championship, there have been goals in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Earlier result, Millwall 3, Sheffield United 2, and goals, Blackpool 1, Stoke 0, Huddersfield 1, Birmingham 1. They're the only goals so far in the Championship. We've got Kevin Doyle on the line if you want to text Kevin or ask him a question, or Dan or Johnny. You can on Football Saturday here with Sky, and we're back after this.
Football on Off the Ball
with Sky. Don't miss Man United versus Leicester City on Super Sunday, live only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk. Screen Time with John Fardy.
This week on Screen Time, I talked to English actress Lily James about her new rom-com, What's Love Got to Do With It? I also talked to the film's writer, who happens to be Jemima Khan. Plus, the return of the Ant-Man. Marvel's latest superhero movie gets reviewed, as does all the week's TV you want to stream or avoid. That's Screen Time with me, John Fardy.
Screen Time with John Fardy.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now, or tune in this evening from 6
on News Talk.
This year, Skodas all over the country will take thousands of new babies home from the hospital. Brides-to-be to their weddings. Camogie champions on a lap of victory around their local village. Excited new family dogs home from the rescue centre. Proud parents to their firstborn's graduation. There's so much to look forward to. Here's to brighter days ahead. Skoda, made for Ireland.
Every year in the GAA, something unique happens. First-class rivals suddenly become first-class teammates. Fierce inter-county foes turn into friends, and yesterday's opponents now have each other's backs. Grudges set aside, all of the best club and county players from every corner of this country line out in their college or university jerseys to play together, challenge together, and win together. It can only be the Electric Ireland Sigerson, Fitzgibbon and Higher Education Championships.
At Screwfix, we've cut prices to help you save. Like €40 off the DeWalt Line Laser, now only €189.95. And save €85 on the DeWalt Brushless Twin Pack with 2 3-amp-hour batteries, now only €223.95. Get your job done for less. Shop now online at screwfix.ie or in over 30 stores. Screwfix, the choice of champions. While stocks last, prices valid until at least 4 p.m. on the 5th of March. Visit screwfix.ie for T's and C's, delivery charges and restrictions.
If you're looking for a hassle-free summer holiday, stop looking and start booking. Head to sunway.ie to find great value holidays to amazing destinations. Book flights, hotels and transfers all in one place. Start booking your summer holiday at sunway.ie or contact your local travel agent. Sunway.
You may think we need a lot of sun for solar panels in Ireland, but with modern panels from evolveecosolutions.ie, all you need is daylight. Our solar panels can save you money with fast installation and grants of up to €2,400. We also install heat pumps and insulation. And yep, there are grants for those too. Check out evolveecosolutions.ie and book your free no-obligation consultation. evolveecosolutions.ie. More power to your home.
Samsung. Appliances you can rely on. For peace of mind, choose from Samsung's 5-year warranty range of laundry and refrigeration home appliances. For more information, go to powercity.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Dr. Georgina Jordan, Head of Emergency Response for Goal. The major earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria has left thousands dead and many more without shelter or safety. Goal teams are on the ground assessing needs and providing support to the already fragile communities affected. To make a donation or start a fundraiser, please visit goal.ie. Thank you.
InsureMyVan.ie. Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The budget is tight, so you might have to don the old overalls and...
Nope, I am not fitting our new kitchen. I'm allergic to all types of manual labour. We're going with Cash and Carry Kitchens. They've got free fitting on a select range of kitchens, and with over 40 years experience, they actually know what they're doing.
Nice research. Well done you.
Yes, I nailed it. No hammer required.
Get free fitting on selected kitchens at Cash and Carry Kitchens for a limited time. See in store for details or go online to cashandcarrykitchens.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Leinster v Dragons in the BKT URC. Saturday, February 18th, 7:35 in the RDS Arena. Support the boys in blue. Tickets on sale now at leinsterrugby.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Catch Spurs versus West Ham on Super Sunday. Live. Only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Football Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5. This is Football Saturday. Remember, football and off the ball brought to you by Sky. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. You can text us 53106 or tweet us at Off the Ball. Delighted to be joined on the line by the former Republic of Ireland, Reading and Wolves striker Kevin Doyle, and in studio as well by the football correspondent of the Irish Independent Dan McDonnell and the broadcaster and journalist Johnny Ward. You can text us 53106, tweet us at Off the Ball. Listen on your radio across the country and News Talk. Also watch us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook and on the OTB Sports app. Just in terms of sport elsewhere, Zebra 6, Connacht 19. Dylan Tierney-Martin has scored a hat-trick of tries for Connacht. Brilliant performance from him in the URC. Half an hour on the watch. Gordon Park, the Red Mills Trial Hurdle. Field Door, 4-1 winner of that. Over 2 miles for Gordon Elliott, the trainer. Jordan Gainford, the jockey. And Janadil has just won the Red Mills Chase, the other Grade 2. There, Janadil 7-2 shot with Rachel Blackmore in the saddle for Willie Mullins. So that's what's going on racing-wise. We also have Gaelic games today in Division 4 of the Football League. Wicklow 1-16, London 1-9. In the Premier League, lots of matches kicking off at 3 o'clock, including Manchester City away to Nottingham Forest. And that is goalless at the moment. Kevin Doyle, Erling Haaland, what have you made of him so far this season? Incredibly, 26 goals in 22 games. Can he still get better? How good is this guy?
He's had a quiet, well, I suppose he scored the other night, didn't he? Had a quiet couple of weeks. Can he get better? I don't think he can. He's not going to get quicker. He's not going to get stronger. He's not going to become a better finisher. I suppose, like, you could say he's involved in the build-up play more, but Man City don't want him involved in the build-up play. So if he gets involved in the build-up play, he's not going to score as many goals. They sign him to be, in the box and putting the ball in the back of the net like he's doing. So I don't know what more you can do. He's probably the best. He's the best centre forward in the world right now. If he just stays doing what he's doing, he's going to be the best centre forward in the world for the next, till he wants, as much as he wants. I don't think he can get this, and he can always improve little bits and bobs. I don't think he's going to become much. He can't improve his goal scoring record much better than it already is, to be honest.
Is he going to be the difference in terms of the winning the Champions League? Just in terms of style?
I don't know. Listen, they came so close for a number of years. And, as it comes, little things like they should have won it last year. Like, they threw it away. In that game when they were 2-0 up, or they 1 or 2-0 up. And that's not going to him. They scored goals last year in the Champions League. He's not going to be the difference that was defensively where they let themselves down last year. So I don't know whether it's going to be the difference or not. You could say in the Premier League, he's probably, they're 8 or 9 points, I think, behind where they were at this stage last year. So you could argue, well, he's hindered them a little bit. Maybe they're not as good an all-round team. Maybe when it comes to a big, vital game, he will be the difference in the Champions League because he might score that goal that gets him through. Who knows? Listen, they haven't been too bad in the Champions League. It becomes, when you get to that semi-final stage, quarter-final, semi-final, there's so little fine lines, fine margins. It's not just the scoring goals. They never seem to have problems scoring goals. It's more about keeping them out where they've had the issues. So I don't know. But as an out-and-out centre forward, watching him, looking at him, I enjoy watching him. I enjoy doesn't seem to care about missing chances either. Doesn't seem to bother him. Confidence doesn't seem to be any issue with him. Can score all types of goals. He's if you were to design a sort of number 9 centre forward footballer from a physical standpoint, he'd be the one you'd design. He's an absolute machine.
What rating would you give him? Sorry, JD. What rating would you give him out of 10 when he's not in the box?
When he's not in the box, he's a loose-ish first touch, where he's back to goal. So I wouldn't rate him that high, but then I wouldn't rate him, I wouldn't give him an 8 or 9. He's probably down at a 6 or 7 when he's not in the box. But then I've seen clips of him when he was at Dortmund where he was, setting up stuff in that number 10 position, doing all sorts of, not just being the one that was in the box scoring goals. So, it obviously is in there. And when he's not in the box, or, he's outside the box, as I said, Man City don't want him outside the box. If they wanted him outside the box, or they're saying something else, they want him just in the box. They have enough good players there. Lads everywhere on the pitch can play football. They don't need him out there muddling it up and getting in the way. They just want him in the end of stuff. A bit like Aguero for them. It's a funny one because it seemed like Pep didn't like Aguero. He didn't like that fella just in the box. Sorry, I just have Shishkin under the background, lads.
He won. Yeah, he won.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have brother to Altior, not Shishkin. Sorry. Yeah.
Impressively. But yeah, with Man City and Aguero, Pep looked like he tried every way not to play him, but sort of had to play him because he got them goals. And he wasn't one that he was involved in too much outside the box, didn't hunt and close down too much. Haaland off the ball works a bit harder than Aguero did for them. That's the only thing I give Haaland over Aguero as well. But like, it was a strange one that he signed Haaland, and he is just that out and out finisher. When before he wanted to play without centre forwards. Maybe that's Pep has adapted as well and changed, and now he realised, listen, Liverpool were playing without an out and out centre forward really for a couple of years. They signed Nunes in the summer. Man City signed Haaland, and you can't say it hasn't worked for them. But really, it comes to the end of the season, doesn't it? Right now, we don't know. You might win the Premier League, you might win the Champions League, and then you say, well, it hasn't really worked for them, has it?
Yeah, 2-1 Shishkin. And the Betfair Ascot Chase, the grade 1 there. Rashford scored, 14 goals in 16 games since he came back. So, where are you rating him?
Yeah, pure confidence, isn't it? It's amazing, like, confidence in sport, and you know, someone who believes in you. You hear little stories, Ronaldo's holding back, whatever. I don't know. He just didn't look happy to me the last few years. He looks happy now. Whether that's the manager or whatever, you don't know in his private life. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But, and again, you know, you play. I like Rashford because he can play him on the left, and he seems to score as many goals on the left as he does through the middle. Great pace. Another one whose first touch lets him down a little bit, but he's so quick. Is that option in behind for them? They're so much better when he's playing. Listen, anyone with pace to stretch teams, to have someone in behind. We're doing the PSG game tonight. Like when they changed and brought Mbappe on, the difference. Mbappe obviously the best player in the world, but when you have that pace to frighten people, you don't half get away with a few things, and it allows so much other options, and it makes teams not able to press you quite as high and quite as intense because there's one booted clearance, and you have someone like an Mbappe or Rashford on top. So I really like Rashford. He's exciting, really good finisher. He's on a hot streak at the moment, obviously, but and I'm a Man United fan. That's so good to see him back. He always talked about he's going to be a top player, and he never seemed to fulfill it. And now he seems to be fulfilling it.
You are a Man United fan?
I am.
Did you ever score there?
I didn't score at Old Trafford. I scored against him a few times, but I didn't score at Old Trafford. No.
Kiss the badge and all that.
Kiss the badge. No. I celebrated when I scored against him. Don't worry about that. Would I kiss the Man United badge? Jesus, if they signed me, I'd kiss anything.
Not now.
Just come back to Haaland. I don't know if you saw the Thierry Henry speaking about Haaland during the week.
No.
And Thierry Henry would, I don't know, it wouldn't have been everyone's cup of tea as a pundit, but it was actually very. I think it was on CBS. It was on American TV with Jamie Carragher, and I think it was around the Arsenal game on Wednesday. I'm not sure. And he was definitely speaking about the advice he got from Arsene Wenger when he was a striker. I don't know if Kevin would relate to this in any way, but Henry has been slightly critical of Haaland's all-round play compared to Harry Kane, on the basis that his view was, and I suppose like some of this could be instruction, that Haaland is almost looking for the same run, looking for the same service from every player all of the time. I.e., when Kevin De Bruyne gets the ball, he knows the type of pass De Bruyne can play, and he makes the run to anticipate it. But he'd be similar for other players like Bernardo Silva getting on the ball. And Henry was talking about how, I think Wenger had said to him, okay, you know, certain players want things in different ways. Like Robert Pires loves a 1-2, so come look for the 1-2 when he has it. Sort of be more of a team player, I guess, was the comment. And I don't know, like, are we seeing any of that in Haaland? I don't know, do you identify that with that in any way, Kevin? Like, you know, would you have tailored your movements depending on the teammate that has the ball and knowing their strengths and weaknesses, or is it very much you have your role?
Oh, listen, you'd know, obviously, depending on who'd have it, you'd know whether you're wasting your time making a run or not, to be honest with you. But I think at that Man City's level, listen, there's not too many in that team who can't find you a pass. I'm trying to think of a weakness there, someone who wouldn't be able to find Haaland. De Bruyne is obviously on another wave when he's on form, is another level altogether, but like everyone in that team would. And it's hard to compare him to Harry Kane, one playing for Spurs. Harry Kane has to do a lot more for Spurs in the build-up play, and he likes doing it. I think he enjoys it. He's very good at it, but he has to do it. He has no choice because he won't get the ball. He can't sit in the box and be, you know, just out-and-out goal scorer. As many goals as he does get, he gets more from outside the box. He probably assists more. I don't know if we're going to the figures. I don't know. I'm in front of me. I'd imagine Harry Kane assists more, but he has no choice. Spurs aren't Man City. You know, they're a level below, and he has to be involved a lot more than Haaland does. And I'm sure if Haaland was playing for Spurs, he'd be involved a lot more in different things, you know. So again, Spurs don't have the players who can find Harry Kane either, like Man City do. I'm trying to think of a player at Man City who couldn't.
Yeah, I think Henry's point was maybe that Man City would be fine in most games, but maybe it's in some of the bigger games against the stronger teams you need a little bit more from Haaland in that regard. That was his argument. Now, actually, his goal the other night, the insurance goal the other night, was a little bit of link-up play.
It was good move.
So I think that's obviously
but in the Spurs game, he wasn't seen.
Yeah, here's a staggering stat for you, right? So Haaland, as JD mentioned, Kevin, 26 goals. How many assists do you think he has?
I think I've seen him give Foden a couple of passes for goals.
So he has 4. Harry Kane has 17 goals. How many assists does he have?
Right, you're throwing this out now like the Harry Kane must have less, does he? I don't know.
Go ahead.
I go for something similar then. 4.
1.
Yeah, but
there we go. It's anomalous, but there you go.
It's the assist before the assist.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? This is where you
very profound. Dan.
Yeah, well, it's true though.
No, it is.
A lot of times, Kane might be dropping deep and feed a winger or someone who crosses and scores. So
assist from Haaland's not bad actually. I'm actually surprised
you've got a taste of the crappy quiz, and it's seeped into the Saturday afternoon. By the way, Bernardo Silva scored for Manchester City. They're 1-0. They lead Nottingham Forest at half time, and a goal in the Chelsea Southampton game for Southampton. James Ward-Prowse on the mark there at Stamford Bridge. There was a bit of a row there. Everton leads half-time. It's goalless. Doucouré and Onto were at it.
Can we find out if Ward-Prowse was a free kick? I mean, it generally is a free kick. I don't know if that was the case.
Brighton 0, Fulham 0, Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0, Bournemouth 0, and 5:30 Newcastle against Liverpool. Arsenal 1 at 4-2. Away to Aston Villa earlier on today. In the Championship, these matches go in half-time. Blackburn 0, Swansea 0. Blackpool 1, Stoke 0. Huddersfield 1, Birmingham City 1. Hull 0, Preston 0 is in injury time.
Every other game is 0-0. It's like the Northern Ireland sports reports. It's good. Like you can just read off a load of
They actually are. They are.
Every other game in the Championship is scoreless.
So start whistling. Start whistling. Luton, Burnley, Middlesbrough, QPR, Rotherham, Coventry, Sunderland, Bristol City, and Wigan Distillery. No, it's actually Wigan Norwich. Is goalless as well. Celtic are leading in the Premiership. 2-0 against Aberdeen. Dundee United 0, St Johnstone 1. Hibernian 1, Kilmarnock 0. Livingston 0, Rangers 1, and a half-time score St Mirren 1, Ross County 0. In the rugby now, Connacht 31, Zebra 13. Man United, Qatar or Jim Ratcliffe. It's almost like the Newcastle thing. I'm thinking to myself, if Qatar buy it, and I don't know if they're allowed to buy it with the PSG, I'm sure there's some way they'll be able to buy it. Are the fans going to care if the Premier League and the Champions League trophies start going back to Old Trafford?
Well, I mean, the thing about this is there's Manchester United have enough fans that if some have an issue, as they will, and you could argue, not to get into the whataboutery, I think if you've concerns about, if you've voiced concerns previously about Man City and Newcastle, and then your own club suddenly takes ownership from there, you can't really sort of just look at your shuffle and look downwards and not be aware of it. And you do see in some of the comments online that there are some Manchester United fans who wouldn't be chuffed about this, but sadly, I suppose, the way the world, they have enough of them that they'll be okay. Like they it's not as if it's a small community club who relies on their 5,000, 10,000 season ticket holders. If they suddenly boycott, they have an issue. But this is a massive global brand. That's why Qatar want it. I mean, let's be honest. It's all as we've seen with the World Cup and as we've seen with everything about Qatar. In terms of the various projects they've got involved in, and similar to Saudi, it's all a power play. It's all a show of strength. We can get the World Cup here. In Saudi's case, we can get Ronaldo here, and we can own all of these stars in some shape or form. And Manchester United is one of the most prestigious. I mean, the name, you could argue, or to some people certainly the name in world football. If they get that, I mean, that's the ultimate show of strength. And of course, I mean, there's going to be some charade if they, I know it's different people. It's not like it's not the same as PSG, and of course, but anyone who's been to Qatar, a bit of knowledge about Qatar knows that really there was one true power there. And if Qatar, if a Qatari company or person is doing business, you know where it's going back to.
WordPress was a free kick, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Kevin, you just revealed you're a Man United fan. Are you going to mind if it's Qatari ownership?
Oh, no, I just don't think any country should own football club, to be honest with you. How can any other club, that's not owned by an oil-rich state feel they're going to be able to compete in the long run with them? It's ridiculous. I don't know. the cat is out of the bag. There's a number of clubs owned by them around the world now, different countries, but I just think it's ridiculous in the first place. Should never been allowed to happen, and especially now owning 2 clubs. It's just, there should be. I thought there was a rule against, the one crowd owning 2 football clubs. Obviously, there's not, because Red Bull have a good few, don't they? So that shouldn't be allowed. They're going to be competing against each other in European football. No, I would prefer if Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, at least he's from the country, and I think he's a Man United fan.
He is, yeah.
So listen, like that, historically, that would have been the case. It would have been a rich, local or whatever owning a club in their country. So that is what you'd want. And he's a billionaire, so he's the best of everything, isn't it? A multi-billionaire is what you need, and he's one. So I don't think the Glazers are going to care who they sell it to, whoever pays the most money. So hopefully he does.
Yeah, we'll just say that someone who's occasionally on our show who might be a Spurs fan, who might be Shane Keegan, has just texted me to say, please don't let Johnny away from that. Harry Kane actually has 5 assists in the Premier League this year.
The BBC, the BBC is wrong then, Shane.
The official Premier League website is
Johnny Ward.
You have to, if you're going to do it,
pretending to be quiz master. You're coming in here. You're wearing a.
Can't believe, Shane. What was the need? Why didn't you just text me that privately?
This explains.
It's literally on the BBC, the
BBC
British
website.
Broadcasting Corporation.
Mainstream media.
Look at it.
This
is fake news.
This explains why Johnny's tenure as crappy quiz host was somewhat chaotic.
And on that note, you got to go to a break. Got to go to a break. Johnny Ward, Dan McDonnell, and Kevin Doyle on the line on Football Saturday. You want to text us? 53106. We're back after the news.
As children in Turkey and Syria lay sleeping in their beds, catastrophic earthquakes struck and their homes collapsed around them. UNICEF is helping injured, hungry and freezing cold children, but they need our help. You can donate at unicef.ie. This message is supported by Newstalk.
Follow at Newstalk FM on TikTok for the latest news, reports and trends from our presenters and reporters.
Did you know that an average tumble dryer cycle uses as much electricity as leaving one light bulb on non-stop for 11 days? If you'd like to know more, sign up to ESB Network's pilot programme, Is This a Good Time? We'll send you customised advice and relevant information to help you and your household take more control of your home's electricity usage. You could even get rewarded for taking part. So sign up today at esbnetworks.ie/pilot.
Wave goodbye to winter and make it a fabulous February with Go Breaks. Choose from hundreds of amazing hotel deals right now at gobreaks.ie.
Go Breaks. When my business grows up, I want it to be big and strong, with not just one cafe, but lots and lots of them. There'll be hurdles along the way. But with the right payments partner helping me reach higher,
I'll grow a little every day until before I know it, my little business will be all grown up. Elevon. Grow into the business you want to be. Check out our offers on elevon.ie. Elevon Financial Services DAC trading as Elevon Merchant Services is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Wake up to mattress and bed savings at the Harvey Norman 5-day mattress sale with massive discounts and hundreds of deals to choose from. Shop new and exclusive orthopedic sports mattresses, perfect for recovery, from just $559. Great savings on top Irish brands like O'Dearest, King Coil and Briody, with mattresses starting from just $269. Plus, speak to our sleep specialists in store about our free delivery and mattress recycling service. So don't sleep on it. The Harvey Norman 5-day mattress sale now on. But hurry, must end Monday.
go!
Island's Edge Stout is less bitter, like Ian Hughes from Antrim. Ian.
Well, my brother-in-law has this massive gaff. He's got extensions on the extensions. New car. He's got new teeth. Raking and he was. Yeah, but why be bitter?
Yeah, there's no need. There's no need.
No, well, actually, it turns out that he was embezzling funds from the business. Looks like he's going to do time for it.
Oh, that's desperate.
Yeah, really, really dreadful.
Right. Island's Edge. It's better, less bitter.
Get the facts, be drink aware, visit drinkaware.ie. Share the moments that matter most with Air Mobile. With 5G in every county, we're connecting Ireland. Town, city and country. Join today and get the new Samsung Galaxy S23 for just €149 with unlimited calls and texts, no limits data and 5G at no extra cost on all our mobile plans. Go in store or visit air.ie. Connect more with Air Mobile. Unlimited allowance subject to fair use. Available on selected plans. 5G network coverage subject to availability. For terms, see air.ie.
Imagine if coffee shops only made cappuccinos, butchers only did sausages,
and florists only sold tulips. It's the same with cars. You want choice. That's why the Kia Sportage SUV is available in mild hybrid, self-charging hybrid and plug-in hybrid electric. Low on emissions, but big on choice. The multi-award-winning Kia Sportage. Now available for 2023 delivery.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
There's never been a better time to buy VHI travel insurance for a range of benefits at home or abroad. For peace of mind when you travel, search VHI Multitrip. VHI Healthcare DAC, trading as VHI Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collinson Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multitrip travel insurance.
The toll of the Turkey-Syria earthquake grows every day. And right now, survivors desperately need your help as they fight to survive the freezing winter cold. The Irish Emergency Alliance is a group of leading humanitarian agencies working together to get food and water, warm clothes and shelter to the families devastated by this disaster. But time is running out. Your support will save lives. Please give now at emergencyalliance.ie or call 1-800 939 979.
On 106 to 108 FM, on the News Talk app, powered by Go Loud and Smart Speaker. This is News Talk.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sean O'Regan. The British Prime Minister and the President of the European Commission are said to have had a positive discussion this afternoon. Rishi Sunak and Ursula von der Leyen are trying to find solutions for post-Brexit trading arrangements in the north. It follows growing speculation an agreement could be announced early next week. In his speech at the Munich Security Conference this afternoon, Mr Sunak insisted there's a way to go yet in securing a UK-EU trade deal.
I've been in Northern Ireland talking to parties there about the things that we need to fix. We're working through those. We're working through them hard, and we will work through them intensely with the EU. But we are by no means done. There is no deal that is done. There's work to do, and that's what we will set about doing.
The Midwest Hospital Campaign Group says ongoing overcrowding in University Hospital Limerick has left people in fear of getting sick. It says its decade-long fight to get emergency departments at Ennis, Nina and St John's hospitals reopened will continue. The Taoiseach said yesterday that emergency care for the region will remain centralised in Limerick, despite UHL having the busiest ED in the country. Campaigner Conor Reedy says local people are crying out for more services.
It is a war that has had communities in fear. It has had households where you have illness, long-term illness. It has elderly people afraid to go to their doctors or reveal their medical issues to their families for fear that they end up in the UHL ED.
An Irish medical organisation conference has heard that there's a need for more robust structures for doctors to report bullying and harassment in the workplace. It comes as a new survey by the organisation shows just 14% of doctors report harassment. Dr. Rachel McNamara says proper structures need to be put in place.
Particularly as doctors, we spend such a high percentage of our time in work. So if there is some bullying or harassment coming from some direction, it is devastating.
And finally this hour, the Restaurants Association of Ireland says at least one restaurant or coffee shop has closed each day so far this year. It says Irish restaurant owners are facing some of the highest business costs in Europe. The government is due to reveal the details of cost of living supports on Tuesday, but speculation has grown that the 9% VAT rate for the hospitality sector may increase back to 13.5%. It's 2 minutes past 4.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Cheer on the boys in green with Ryanair's low fares to Edinburgh.
It'll be cloudy for most of the afternoon with some scattered showers. There'll be strong winds along the coasts, but calmer for the most part further inland. Top temperatures today of 10 to 13 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Catch Spurs versus West Ham on Super Sunday. Live. Only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5. This is Football Saturday. Remember, football on Off the Ball brought to you by Sky. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. You can text us 53106. Tweet us at Off the Ball. We're streaming the conversation as well. Listen across the country on your radio and News Talk. Also watch us if you'd like on YouTube. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and on the OTB Sports app. Delighted to have on the line the former Republic of Ireland, Reading and Wolves striker Kevin Doyle, and in studio the football correspondent of the Irish Independent, Dan McDonnell, and the broadcaster and journalist Johnny Ward. In the Premier League, if you're just joining us, folks, Man City 1-0 up away to Nottingham Forest, Bernardo Silva with the goal. We also have James Ward-Prowse putting Southampton 1-0 up away to Chelsea. All the other games are goalless. The 3 o'clock matches: Brentford, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Leeds, which is a real 6-pointer, and Wolves against Bournemouth.
Shane Keegan's obviously on as well. Just he's taking note of any little mistake that's made. I actually sent Shane a lovely voice note yesterday, probably on the way down, just wishing him the best of luck this season. I think you'll do well.
That was a difference last night, obviously, as well.
Oh well, obviously, yeah. But he didn't. Not only did he not reply, but the first interaction he's had with me since is through the medium of Dan to tell me that I was wrong on national radio, and I was well wrong, to be fair.
It's a Golden Cleric
done with you.
Moment.
Yeah,
Golden Cleric
done with you.
coming from
Next to liars, but yeah, I'm done with you, Shane. Well done last night.
Kevin Doyle, Liverpool 5:30 away to Newcastle. What's your view on them at the moment? Was the Merseyside Derby a positive sign? Klopp seems to be up for it, but a lot of rebuilding to be done there.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Rebuilding, like, when you think of where they were last year, you think they're going to be around forever, and it's talk about rebuilding now, 6 months into a season. They were good. Everything were poor. Like, it's hard to judge. It's a derby game. Everton, Liverpool, obviously. So you want to see that now in the next few games. I thought Núñez was good. I'd just like to see him get on a run of scoring goals now. To play them on the left as well. Are they going to play him there going forward and not play him through the centre? Listen, I don't know. I don't know where Liverpool stand. I'm a bit on the whole. Klopp is so motivational as a manager. You'd love to have played for him over the years, but there's a lot of those same players hearing the same voice, and I don't know if it works forever. It's when you're high energy, high intensity, and they're more high energy and high intensity than anyone, and he's that voice all the time. He's the one that they rely on. You think of the managers who were there for a long time, like Alex Ferguson, obviously the greatest probably of all time. He wasn't like that, and he changed his assistant managers a lot, and he didn't speak. He didn't take training sessions. The assistant managers took training sessions. He walked around and watched. Players didn't hear his voice all the time. So when he did speak, it was important. Whereas I feel with Klopp, and from watching him, I know he takes the training sessions. He's always there. He's always the one motivating them. He's always the one, and that's all the players hear. And I think, you eventually run out of things to say to them. Players maybe stop listening quite as much, stop having the same impact on them, because to play that high intensity, a lot of it is fed from the manager. So I don't know. I'm feeling that's the side of it, and maybe he does need a rebuild of players, fresh players who haven't heard that all from him before, to get them going again. But maybe I'm wrong.
It's interesting.
And, this is the turn of the corner for them after getting a decent win against Everton.
It's interesting Kevin says that, yeah, because Everton at the moment are 0-0 against fellow strugglers Leeds, but like Everton were so bad in that derby game, JD. I mean,
who's going to score goals then? That's the problem.
Yeah, they hit the post just before Salah's goal, but like Salah's goal, I mean, Salah's had I'd say he's had about a 1.5 out of 10 season by his standards. He's been like just so much a shadow of the player, and it's not for lack of effort, but it's not happening for him for some reason. So it's vital that he got the goal. But I think Liverpool's problems haven't gone away. That there are a couple of positives from the game the other night. I think obviously they won.
And Bajicic as well.
He was very good. For me, the main positive was Jota and Firmino came on, and they will. That strike force, as much as Núñez didn't play bad. Núñez played quite well, but that strike force needs a bit of a shake up. And I think the two of them coming back, this game today is so hard to call in terms of. Newcastle having a little bit of a rut themselves.
They've too many draws, Newcastle.
Yeah, but they don't concede, and the way they really don't concede, and how Liverpool approach the game, I think it's an absolutely fascinating game. I'm really annoyed I have to go to dinner. I might turn my phone on surreptitiously and kind of watch it whilst
you get Shane Keegan to update you.
Yeah, and call me out on my wrong dinner choices. But yeah. I don't think Liverpool have by any stretch turned a corner yet, but I think today will tell us far more than an insipid Everton.
Bournemouth have scored subject to VAR away to Wolves, which is an interesting goal down the bottom. We'll keep you updated on who got that in a moment. Kevin, did you tune out of managers then if you were playing them for quite a while? That were you actually, the message, was it really important in your career? And did managers have the ability to freshen things up when you were playing?
I was one, actually. I only realised later in my career. I was probably like, if I heard the message after 2 or 3 years, I should move on, you know. And again, it's managers and depending on the manager. In fairness, like say early in my career, even League of Ireland, Pat Dolan was my manager, and a really good motivational manager. But I felt anyway he could probably only get the best. If Pat's listening to this now, he'll probably ring me up. But you know, his type of management, I think, could only get the best out of you for 2 or 3 years, and then you've heard him have, you know, you've heard everything he has to say because he put so much into. A bit like that sort of Klopp style, so much into high intensity, so much you heard that message. And then so the opposite was Steve Coppell, didn't take a training session. You never heard him talk, walked around, you didn't hear him in training. So when you heard him, you only really heard him on match day. So you're not hearing that voice all the time, you're not relying on him. He had 2 or 3 coaches and he brought in different coaches. So that side of it I personally preferred. So when the manager spoke, you weren't hearing him every day. When he spoke, you listened and he'd keep it short and sweet. Mick McCarthy then was again more, he would take training sessions and you'd hear his voice all the time. And again, I enjoyed playing under, but again, I think once he, you know, for me anyway, once you hear that voice, if the manager's taking training sessions and doing the talking on match day and you hear them on the side of the pitch on match day, you know, the managers to me who last the longest at a club are the ones who don't take training sessions during the week, who have good coaches, who maybe rotate their coaches or bring in new coaches. Like I said, Alex Ferguson did. He went 2 or 3, the amount of different assistant managers he had over the years. So the players aren't hearing the same voice. They're doing different things. They're seeing different drills or whatever. Keeping them fresh, keeping players fresh and mentally fresh and listening to those messages is vital. And managers, to me, the best managers are the ones who delegate and pick the best coaches and say a little, but when they say it, it's important. And they're always watching. I always felt the same with Steve Coppell. He was always watching me. Even though everyone felt that. You know, he was watching the goalkeepers, he was watching the attackers in training. He'd walk around, he'd see everything that was going on. When you looked up, he was always looking at you. And every player had that feeling. And without him ever having to speak to you and hear his voice every single day, which, you know, you're together for 340 probably days of a calendar year. You know, if you're hearing a manager every day ranting and raving and training, you know, you soon starts to lose its impact.
Kind of like a relationship, isn't it? You know, if you just hear the same thing day in, day out, it's like, yeah, just say a little bit less and things will be grand. But no, I think I'm absolutely fascinated with what he's saying there.
I'm just going to move on.
We're all told. There was that thing about Brian Clough.
About 2-3 years.
I probably got out of dinner. I probably got out at the 5 o'clock. But Brian Clough, they used to say like that he had so much power over his players. If he looked at them on the pitch, just looked at them, he could get them to turn around without them even knowing. But I was just watching, they were on about confidence. Bamford, like, what has happened to him? He did a lovely 1-2 there, fairly straightforward finish in front of goal, absolutely skies it, misses the ball entirely. And we're on about confidence players, JD. He's a guy who could definitely do the.
It's a bit of a tangent, but like I think there is something in certain managers, and like to hear Kevin actually say it, like someone like Pat Dolan or like even someone like Mourinho, who his career is sort of peppered with like short spells at club. You could maybe say Conte could be something like that as well. Yeah. That there's a certain intensity.
The best performance of Spurs in probably about a year is when he wasn't there and Stellini was there for the City game.
Like
is there a fear there as well?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, okay, that can happen. That's just like he wasn't in the ground, but I think it's more. I think Kevin's talking about the environment week to week, and like there are clearly managers who, like, if to sort of preside over a dynasty and stay for a long period of time, you need to freshen it up. That's what people would say about Ferguson, that he would evolve, or as sort of, you know, Kevin sort of alludes to there. I mean, like, he changed his number 2 so many times, so it wasn't like the same regime all the time, and there was a sort of a certain freshness to it. And you do see these managers who just go from job to job. They come in, they have an impact, it's great, they get a buy-in, but clearly the demands of it just over time, they're not sustainable. But like in a way, like the average shelf life of a manager's job now is that time anyway. It's 2-3
But
it's
hard to think of a manager winning 13 Premier League titles now as Ferguson did. He effectively had 4 teams.
Oh yeah,
and he was able to get players out of the club they didn't want, like Ince, Kanchelskis, Hughes. They all moved on quite quickly. You don't win anything with kids. And then you had Brian Kidd, McLaren, Kyrgios.
Absolutely. Like, of the two people you talk about there, Kevin, then who's more important, the manager or the lad who's taking training?
The manager, definitely. Like the little things he'd say. Actually, there's another one. I played under Harry Redknapp for 6 months.
Here we go.
Didn't take a training session. But we walking around. He'd be talking to you afterwards. He'd be saying something he saw you doing training. He'd be like, he'd come up and say, "Geez, Kevin, not finishing training." You know, a little thing like that afterwards. You know, training is tactical. It's getting your touch right. It's getting your shape right. The manager can tell the coaches what he wants them to do, and they go do it. And you don't have to hear the manager tell you. And he might step in the odd time and, you know, make a point or whatever like that. But if the manager is the one taking the session, to me anyway, I think their message gets lost over time. The impact of it gets lost over time. The coaches, if you want a good coach, of course, you want a fella who's able to put on a session and players listen to him and make the sessions enjoyable. But he's only carrying out the instructions of the manager. They'll sit down in the meeting beforehand. The manager will tell him what he wants, what way he wants the team to play or whatever. And it's the manager picking a good coach, knowing who to pick, knowing the right personality, knowing someone who's going to, you know, get the respected players or whatever it might be, and know someone who's just good at his job. But to me, the manager is vital. But less is more, in my opinion anyway. Like, I remember John O'Shea telling me, if Alex Ferguson, the very odd time, if his assistant manager was sick or something, if he had to take a training session, the whole place would be depressed and they'd be giving him abuse even because he just couldn't take a training session. You know, everyone thinks now a top manager has to be a really good coach, or, you know, I'm sure he's a good coach, but not on the whole putting down phones and giving them drills and doing all that side. But that wasn't what he was good at. He was just good at picking the right people. You know, good at seeing instances, good at knowing good players, good at picking, you know, good at delegating, and then being able to get the respect. And, you know, that's, in my opinion, that's why he was so successful for such a long sustained period. Now we see people like Emery, really good coach. I bet you he's the best coach on the training pitch. I bet you Mourinho is unbelievable on the training pitch, but they all last. Like, how many clubs has Emery had in the last, you know, 10 years? You know, he lasted about 2 years and goes somewhere else. Thomas Tuchel lasts a couple of years. They have that initial impact to getting really organised. It's fantastic. It worked really well. Everything's they're brilliant. But they're gone after 2 years because, you know, they're so intense, so early, so everything goes through them. Every train session, you know, everything is dictated by them. The voice, to me anyway, from what I see from the outside, it's their voice all the time. I think they'd be better and they get more longevity, keep themselves looking fresher and younger if they put trust in their assistant managers and stood back a little bit and took a bigger view and a bigger picture. I think that's the way. To me, that's the way a manager should be. That's how, you know, I felt I played the best under managers like that.
Clearly, as you've said, like, the manager is the most important. And I don't know if you've been in this situation, but sometimes you hear grumbles, say, around a particular place where actually it might be that the players mightn't be mad on a coach. Like, they mightn't rate the coach, or they mightn't get on great with, like, sort of a fitness coach or someone who has a role. Like, does that undermine the manager then if, like, the staff aren't liked, if you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that dynamic where the manager's hands off, you still need a good environment to be created by that other person day to day on the training ground.
Yeah, definitely. You need a manager. That's the manager's job. That's just as important. Getting the right physios, getting the right fitness coaches, you know, knowing to pick the right people. And a lot of clubs now actually, you know, changed the sort of model where a manager gets sacked and the physio says the same and the fitness coach does, and it all says the same behind the scenes. And I see the reason for that. You don't want to be sacking 20 people in a whole change work, but I also see there's other managers who, well, I like to bring in my own assistant, I like to bring in my own chief scout, and I like to bring my own physio. And they want to do that because they know their personalities, they know them behind the scenes, they know they're not going to be going behind their backs, they know their positive outlook or whatever it might be. So I can see both sides to that. You know, it's so important. Players are dealing with physios day to day. They're dealing with physios. They're the people you interact with every day for, as I spoke about, 300 something days a year. You don't interact with the manager every day. You know, you see him mostly. You see him, you know, you might actually speak one-on-one with him once every few weeks. You know, you don't actually, it's the people around him are as vital as he is to create that. You know, 30 people trying to keep 30 footballers happy and have a positive vibe. You don't want the masseuses might be in the changing room massaging every day. If they're a negative influence in a changing room, they'll drag down 2 or 3 or 4 and they'll create a little clique. There's so many little things that are important that managers need to spot, more so than, you know, just as important as a little tactical thing on the training ground or in a match day. It's creating the right atmosphere in a club. You know, when you're together so much, you're traveling together, you're sleeping together, eating together, everyone has to be the more positive people around the place, the better. I think Man United now, they've had a new no bullshit signing policy or something. No, what's the saying?
No dickheads, is it?
No dickheads, yeah. And that is so important, because one or two, you can have a few dickheads, you can have a couple, and the positive players will win out. But if you have more than 3 or 4, they'll pull. There's people who float in the middle, and they'll pull them towards them, and all of a sudden you'll have 15 dickheads, and they'll have such a negative influence on a squad. So it's so important, to all those things that sort of get forgotten about behind the scenes, that, managers, it's not just about a guy coming in and, being a really good coach. He has to be a manager, and he has to get everything right behind the scenes and get the best out of the squad.
Because you said you were watching the PSG game the other night. It seems like they're the Harlem Globetrotters, these like Galacticos just put together, but no team, no cohesion, and then cryptic messages from Mbappe criticising his teammates.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to say it on RT. I was doing that game. I didn't think I could say the no dickheads thing.
We just said it here, so I suppose you probably should stop saying it now at this stage.
Well, I don't think if PSG go by that policy. No, listen, they're relying as well the other night. Like Neymar, Messi, as fabulous as players, Neymar's gone. Like he's 31. He was poor in the World Cup. Let's be honest. Messi had absolute dogs around him for Argentina who helped him when they didn't have the ball so much, and when he did, he still had that brilliance. But he doesn't have those around him at PSG. So they had Neymar and Messi up front the other night at PSG, and they didn't run 5 yards between them. They were waste of time off the ball. And then when they did have the ball, it was the two of them were coming short all the time. It was amazing the turnaround when Mbappe came on. This is easy. Mbappe is probably the best player in the world at the moment, but just from sprinting in behind, just running, caused havoc. And actually PSG could have got something out of the game. Probably should have in the end, considering, which they were pretty poor up to that point. They still could have got something out of the game. But, we're sort of gone off track here.
What would Stephen Kenny do just in thinking of Mbappe there? What do you do in a situation like that? Because you want to be positive. It's anathema to Stephen Kenny to have a negative mindset, or even though he will be conservative at times, but he's going to tell the Ireland players, yes, you can beat France. But what do we do? Do we play 3 at the back? Who ultimately is responsible for Mbappe? Should we lose possession? Right. Who's vaguely able to actually track him and look after him?
Hopefully about 3 lads.
Right.
Listen, you can't leave him one-on-one. If it's James Coleman or Matt Doherty, whoever's playing right back, they need to be doubling up on it. I'm sure they'll be working on that, and even doubling up on it. Like, let's be honest, if Mbappe's up for it, right, and if he is up for it, who knows, he might be up for it. You need to be motivated for games. He might be up, might be World Cup's over now, and I'm not interested in playing Ireland, maybe he won't turn up, he might be injured, whatever. If he turns up and he's motivated, like, there's no stopping him. He's as good, he's top class speed, right? He's probably the fastest player in the world. But he's just as good. If he didn't have that speed, he'd still be a professional footballer, and a really, really good professional footballer. His skills, like left foot, right foot, in the air, scores headers as well. He doesn't come across as, the most selfless player in the world or whatever like that. It seems to be a bit about him, but most top players are. But he's just, he's unmarkable. You just do your best. You try double up on him. You try stop the ball getting to him. You figure out ways to stop it getting to him, trying to cut off channels, cut off lines where he'll receive the ball. But he will get the ball in the game. And when he does get it, you try double up on him. You try make sure you have pace on that side of the pitch. Whatever winger or whatever wide player he's using to help out Seamus Coleman, wherever you try have pace there, and then you hope for the best and hope he's having an off night and hope you get a bit of luck.
Yeah, like it was fascinating watching Mbappe play for France in the World Cup, because the thing is, I know Giroud, I was just checking, Giroud actually isn't retiring, but you could see there were times where Deschamps moved Mbappe into the central striking role, at times in games, like, even against England, like he probably had one of those quieter games where Kyle Walker did reasonably well, but then Mbappe was sort of drifted inside a couple of times and actually had a role in like the first goal, again, just by his sheer presence. So he is sort of unmarkable in a way, and because he has the ability to sort of to mix it up. Like you can have a plan, but I don't think you can sort of designate someone. Like it's not like a sort of a man-to-man job thing. Just won't function. Like you see, as
Everton have scored.
That is a crazy Seamus Coleman. What an unbelievably bizarre goal. I don't know how to, like, I think he's trying to cross the ball. The keeper has totally misread it. And would you Adam and Eva, Seamus Coleman among the goals? Just
Everton 1, Leeds 0 in the Premier League.
It's funny, a few minutes previously, Seamus Coleman was flagged offside. which suggests that he's been sort of getting involved, that they're trying to get him involved a little bit higher up. Because it was just in sort of general play, he was that advanced that he just got done. So I haven't seen this, but I mean Johnny's response is built.
Well, it's a greater response than the Evan Ferguson one from a few weeks ago.
You saw the second goal that Bow scored last night, and the goalkeeper, he's onside. Watch this.
But it's another break and run again.
Insane.
Oh, what's Meslier doing?
What is like? Now Coleman, maybe he's gone for this. I mean, there's no.
It's exciting.
It's a cross. I don't think he's.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Like to describe it for people, like it's sort of a 30-yard ball clipped over to the right side of the defensive area, and I assume Meslier is just waiting for the ball to be crossed, so he leaves a big gap at the near post that Coleman volleys it into. Now it's a good connection. Yeah, it's an awful cross, or a piece of great ingenuity. But Seamus Coleman, I know he was. What was his landmark? 400th appearance
the other night, and for him to be playing at this level with the injuries that he's had, in a position where you really are reliant on pace, and his pace isn't what it was, to score a goal like that, he must be absolutely on top of the world. And just before that, again, Bamford was sort of through JD.
He was. It's been end-to-end.
You got this feeling though he's not going to control this ball. He miscontrolled it, and it's been fascinating. Like, I mean, we've two pretty poor teams here, but that was one of the oddest goals I have to see. I've seen.
Sometimes you need that in these kind of matches.
Yeah,
he could have meant it.
Maybe he did.
You look at the replay; he's not quite looking
let's hear
up.
from people who are watching it. Did he mean that? I can't imagine.
We were watching
maybe
it.
He did. Did he mean it, JD?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Marcus Tavernier got the goal for Bournemouth 1-0. They lead away to Wolves. And Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester City 1. Still the case. Bernardo Silva with that goal. James Ward-Prowse with the goal for Southampton. They lead Chelsea 1-0. Brighton 0, Fulham 0, Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0. Graham Potter's struggling. Kevin Doyle, I mean, you can't really say. Maybe it's a very long-term thing, but it's not really happening yet for him.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
For Graham Potter, it's not like Chelsea are losing. They can't seem to score any goals. It's not been the best start.
No, it's not. Listen, I wouldn't pay like the signings that have been thrown at him. I can't imagine he had too much to do with him. The turmoil at that club, it just as it turns out, it was probably the wrong job for him to take. At the time, it's very hard for him to turn that down. But I would say behind the scenes, it's been some nightmare for him. I wouldn't judge him as manager on this job at all, because how could you deal with what's gone on there over the summer and since he's gone there? I saw a picture of him a few weeks ago, a side by side of before he took the job and since. And he looks like he's aged about 25 years. It's tough on him. I really feel for him. I'd say it's a nightmare trying to manage them. And you just feel like the owner, even like 2 months ago, I wouldn't have been surprised if he pulled the trigger and sacked them. And you just feel like that's going to come at some stage. But I wouldn't. I would be fairly confident he will come back as somewhere else, a settled club. Somewhere not Chelsea, and come back and be very successful.
Seamus Coleman's last goal for Everton in the Premier League was against Leeds a year and 6 days ago in a 3-0 win.
Leeds haven't had a shot on target after 67 minutes here.
I don't know. Like it was I'm still not sure. Did he
intend it?
He could have meant that.
Right. Okay.
He could have meant he was
that pace. What do you think
he'll
say afterwards?
I don't know. He'll probably be honest enough. But he's over. He doesn't have great options in the area. Presumably, he's aware of that. I don't know. It could be a little bit harsh on him there, but anyway, it's a big goal. I mean, 400 appearances when you think about it for Seamus Coleman at that level, it's sort of extraordinary. You kind of forget, and I know obviously Kevin was a teammate of his, they overlapped for probably not as long as people might think almost, because he wasn't in the Euro squad in 2012 when he was 24 at that stage. He wasn't. He wasn't.
He was late. He was like me actually. He came over from the League of Ireland a bit later.
Oh, that angle, yeah.
He's some professional, Seamus, off behind the scenes. Really, really looks after himself so well, and that's why he's got those. He doesn't drink or anything like that. He's,
no interest in horses.
No interest in horses. No distractions. Looks after himself. You see him in around that squad. Another one, himself and James McLean will be very close together, and the two of them will be really professional away from it, and as he should be as a professional sportsman. But they're, ever since I remember the first day Seamus coming into the squad, a lovely fella, really nice, grounded man, but really works hard at looking after himself behind the scenes, off the pitch, and that's why he's still there, still going strong. He's probably 34 or 5 now, is he?
He's 34.
Yeah.
What
He doesn't look it. He
snooker,
looks
Judy,
fresh-faced, in fairness.
Yeah, they kind of tap the table when they fluke a shot in snooker.
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman's celebration there was more like, I actually kind of meant this. So,
but no, I think it was more.
I'm
it was almost like the whole of emotion of being in that basket case club for the last 10 years came out there.
I don't know. I'm confused. I actually don't know if he meant it or not.
Leeds will be second from bottom if this result stays the way it is, with Everton up to 16th potentially if things continue this way. I'm sure you. We're talking about like teammates and people getting on and everything. I'm sure you loved meeting up with the Irish lads. Did you for the international games, Kevin?
You know what? I was at I go to the feud again with the ones I'm working at. I brought my son to a game a while ago. I don't see. You'd be amazed you don't bump into each other. Like Darren Murphy lives down the road now. He lives in Waterford. I haven't seen him since. I'm good friends with Darren. I met Jonathan Waters last night, as I said, in Ferrycarrig Park. A very busy man, Jonathan. He was telling me the list of things he's doing. I felt sorry for him. But yeah, no, we don't see, a lot of players retired around the same sort of time as me, a lot of that group of players, and you'd be amazed how little we see each other. We're all doing our own thing.
Yeah. Tell us what you're doing, Kevin. You're working with horses at the moment.
Busy enough with horses, yeah. We've 7 mares to foal here, and we've 3 overdue. There's one actually overdue 12 days, and she looks like she's going to foal tonight, so I'll be up 2 to foal. I think there's 2 going to foal tonight actually, so I'll be busy tonight. So myself and my dad looking after him, but the horses would be my main interest now. And I still obviously watch football and involved with it, and coach my son's team and things, and always keeping an eye on games and do some stuff for RT and different things. But horses would be sort of my first love now.
Breeding,
national hunt horses, yeah. Dan was down with me a few years ago.
Yeah, I was indeed. No, I was mentioning.
Did you sell him, Anthony? Did you?
I was mentioning. I don't know if you got me at a bad time. Who knows? But like I saw Augusta Kate down there, who again, like people who are into racing or listening, like would know Augusta Kate is a pretty established sort of Willie Mullins horse. Was it Graham Wiley owned that, I think, and it was
I think Shearer and Lee Westwood, yeah.
Alan Shearer and that involved.
Ran at Cheltenham. I think it was favourite for a race at Cheltenham.
Did Augusta Kate fold the other day? I saw, Kevin, or is that recently?
No, that was. I'll tell you what that was. I have a 3-year-old. She's 4 now, actually. Her first foal. Was 4 now, and she's in. Jamie Codd is breaking her, pre-training her, and she'll be going into training now in the next few weeks. And Augusta Kate is 12 days overdue, actually. She's due to foal, yeah. She looks like she'll foal tonight, so usually foal in the middle of the night at some stage. But she's bursting.
So how do you you obviously must have like a video monitor then, do you, or how do you know when it's going to happen?
Yeah, they'll be on they're on cameras, yeah, and they have alarms on them. When a mare goes to foal, they stretch their neck out, sort of, they'll lie down and stretch their neck out, and there's a little alarm we have on their necks that senses when their neck goes into a certain position, and it'll set an alarm off in the house. So between the cameras and that, we shouldn't miss it.
It's a different game. When you meet someone like John Walters last night, who's now like who's always remained immersed in football, just from he was at Stoke and he was involved with the PFA and all sorts of things.
He's on the VAR panel, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. Like he's got a lot going on then. I mean, does part of you think I'm happy to be out of that, or does it give you any niggling sense of, I wish I was still in the industry? I mean, I've spoken to you about this before, and I got the sense that you weren't missing it. But I mean, time passes. Do you miss it more or less?
No, it was nice to meet John last night. Like I hadn't, see him every day, sort of thing. Lovely fella, John. No, I don't miss it. When he was listing off the stuff he's doing, listen, to be involved in football now, to be any of those roles, you have to be gone, from morning to night, fully committed wherever the job might be, and it's just not viable for me. And too many commitments here in Wexford at home. So no, I don't. The only time I've missed actual football, I'm playing it. Went up to see Ireland play last year, the year before. I don't miss soccer or football day to day at all. I play 5-a-side once a week, but I went up and that smell of, it was in the Aviva, lights were on, it was a lovely nighttime game, and the smell of fresh cut grass, and it's triggered something in my brain. I was like, oh, I'd love to be out on that pitch there. Only lasted about 10 seconds and that was it. So I'm lucky. Like some people say, Jesus, man, you don't miss it. I'm lucky I don't miss it. I'd hate to be missing it every day because, it'd be awful to be waking up every day and wishing I was, doing something I can't do. So I'm delighted I don't miss it. I got to play for so long. and brilliant. And I've moved on.
So say if you absolutely had to do one or the other, you had to train a football team or train horses. You had to do one or the other for say like 3 years. What would you prefer?
Oh, I'd probably be useless at training horses now, but I would prefer to train horses. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There we go.
That's what I'm interested. That's what every day checking the results, checking the races, seeing what's going on. I love going to see the horses train, different things, and I love breeding and everything. That's like that'd be training soccer players, footballers, and there's so many lads you have to deal with. Oh Jesus, be giving you some headaches. So no. Couldn't deal with 25, 30 fellas.
No.
Gotta take a break.
Horses are easier to deal with, Judy.
You wouldn't want a video camera on your players late at night to see what they're up to.
Yeah. But we got a video camera on you guys, anybody who's watching the digital and social channels. Big goal for Crystal Palace away to Brentford. Eberechi Eze has scored 1-0. They lead. Brighton 0, Fulham 0. Chelsea 0, Southampton 1. Everton 1. Seamus Coleman on the mark against Leeds 0. Nottingham Forest 0, Man City 1, and Wolves 0, Bournemouth 1. The teams are in for Newcastle, Liverpool. So Newcastle, Pope and goal, Trippier, Botman, Scher and Byrne, Joe Linton, Anderson and Longstaff in the middle, and then St Maximan and Almiron flanking Alexander Isak. For Liverpool, Alisson in goal. We have Alexander Arnold, Van Dijk, Gomez and Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson and Bajicic, Salah, Gakpo and Nunez for Liverpool. 5:30 kick-off at St James's Park. Johnny Ward, Dan McDonnell in studio, and Kevin Doyle on the line on Football Saturday. We're back after this.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Don't miss Man United versus Leicester City on Super Sunday. Live, only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
Attention fashionistas. I'm Mairead Ronan, a proud ambassador for ARC Cancer Support Centres. Join me for an exciting night of catwalk couture and fabulous collections on Thursday, 2nd of March, as Ireland's biggest names in fashion and design showcase their creations at the ARC Fashion Show in the RDS Dublin. Tickets are available at arccancersupport.ie. You don't want to miss it. Produced by Eddie Shanahan and kindly supported by law firm Arthur Cox. All proceeds go to ARC Cancer Support Centres.
This event is proudly supported by News Talk.
This is Dr. Georgina Jordan, Head of Emergency Response for Goal. The major earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria has left thousands dead and many more without shelter or safety. Goal teams are on the ground assessing needs and providing support to the already fragile communities affected. Please make an urgent donation now at goal.ie. Thank you.
Isce an tanam nua atá Irish Water. Anam nua agus chumantas le núnach de hóláthar servicey pibli isce ól agus fiol isce atá dlán, saváilte agus iontafa fud na héireann. Maidir le hain cheis fao aiban na servise nó chun aib le hisce ól nó fiol isce I do cheantar thurisciú, is féidir dul le deagháil le hisce éireann 24 uair sa lá, 7 lá sa teachtain. Clíorann ag a hain a thucht a náid, 2 seacht a thucht, 2 seacht a thucht. nó té go water.ie.
Your son, who smiles every time he gets a message from a certain someone. The twins, who think your son has lost his mind. Their granny, who knows that if hearts get broken, she's only ever a call away. Whatever your clan are up to, connect them with Vodafone Red Family. Add family members young and old for just €5 a month. Go online or in-store to find out more. Vodafone. Together we can.
Subject to eligibility, 12-month contract and terms. See vodafone.ie/terms.
Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Say hello to spring with lots of fresh offers at your local Woodies, with deals like 3 for 2 on laminate flooring and up to 30% off home furniture. We've got everything you need to bring that spring feeling home. And if it's the garden that you're looking to spruce up this season, you won't want to miss the Karcher K4 Power Washer for only €299. Offers are for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Shop the way that suits you, in-store, online or click and collect. Woodies, we're all homemakers. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
This year, schoolers all over the country will take thousands of new babies home from the hospital. Brides-to-be to their weddings, camogie champions on a lap of victory around their local village. excited new family dogs home from the rescue centre. Proud parents to their firstborn's graduation. There's so much to look forward to. Here's to brighter days ahead. Skoda, made for Ireland.
The budget is tight, so you might have to don the old overalls and...
Nope, I am not fitting our new kitchen. I'm allergic to all types of manual labour. We're going with Cash and Carry Kitchens. They've got free fitting on a select range of kitchens, and with over 40 years' experience, they actually know what they're doing.
Nice research. Well done you.
Yes, I nailed it. No hammer required.
Get free fitting on selected kitchens at Cash and Carry Kitchens for a limited time. See in store for details or go online to cashandcarrykitchens.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking to eat a bit healthier this year? It's simple. Just shop, prep and cook for hours, upgrade the kitchen, grow your own veg in the garden and sure, get some chickens too. Or you could just pick up a delicious Fit Foods ready meal or soup from major retailers. They're calorie friendly, a good source of protein and microwave ready in minutes. Fit Foods. Eat well, live well, healthier food without the hassle.
Leinster v Dragons in the BKT URC. Saturday, February 18th, 7:35 in the RDS Arena. Support the boys in blue. Tickets on sale now at leinsterrugby.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
At Cara Nurseries, we've trees and hedging in hibernation that we're preparing to wake. Stock that's been pruned and lifted from the ground, their roots cocooned and ready to plant. They're called root balls and are easy to move and establish. But hurry, their slumber season is nearly done. Go to caranurseries.ie or quietly pay us a nursery visit. Cara Nurseries, where great gardens begin.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, catch Spurs versus West Ham on Super Sunday, live only on Sky Sports.
This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan, as always, with you until 5. This is Football Saturday. Remember, football and Off the Ball brought to you by Sky. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. You can text us 53106. Listen across the country on your radio and News Talk, but also you can watch us on the digital channels on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook and on the OTB Sports app. Kevin Doyle with us for another few moments, the former Republic of Ireland Reading and Wolves striker, with the football correspondent of the Irish Independent Dan McDonnell and the broadcaster and journalist Johnny Ward in studio. Text on 53106, Nick and Dundalk. Lads, in relation to the Man United takeover, it's worth noting the Qatar bid also includes the caveat that while UEFA have got rules around the same people organisation not owning multiple clubs, the chairman of PSG is also the chairman of the European Club Association, and PSG were one of the clubs against the Super League, so it could well be in UEFA's interest to allow the sale to Qatar to happen in order to take the club out of the equation for a breakaway league.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point, and nothing would surprise me. As I said, like we were talking earlier about like the dual ownership. Like there's no doubt I haven't been following, as in I haven't read in detail the stories, but just from sort of the reports of some of the people on the sports news beat, I saw Tariq Panja talking about it last night from the New York Times. He's very good on this stuff. Like clearly there's different characters being put forward as chairman, and there's a bit of this with Newcastle, right, where the people will tell you, well, it's not Saudi, you know, it's
Amanda Stavely.
Yeah, like and it's well, no, this isn't quite an organ of the state. It's like private people here.
We were told that at Go United.
Whatever, you know, like it's people who've experienced these countries and get a sense of how they work know that it's not quite that. So it is Qatar, right? It is Qatar, but that may well be a valid point. And the PSG, the European Clubs Association, and how that came to prominence after the European Super League. Definitely, like you talk about a lobby group to represent the wishes of clubs, and you think, yes, this is something that's going to make European club football fairer for all. And it's the PSG dude at the top of it. It's like, well, there you go. That's why there's another organisation, and a secondary one has been formed as well to actually look after everyone else.
We got a YouTube comment in about Nathan Collins. No, Nathan Collins again for Wolves is worrying. So Shane, Kevin Doyle, we talked about, like, I suppose the front end of the pitch, but you know, Nathan Collins would obviously be liking to get more game time, and you'd hope that Lopetegui fancies him in time.
Yeah, and straight, I thought he was playing well. Like, it was about 6 weeks ago. I thought he played a couple of games. He impressed me, but Listen, Wolves, they haven't been going well in the league. They've had a tough season. He's come as a big signing. They're going to be conceding goals because of where they are in the league, and then he probably doesn't look the best at times. Then because of that, his confidence might dip a bit. It's a hard place to play Wolves when things aren't going well as well. If you're conceding goals, it's. I'm sure he'd be getting a little bit of stick. So to come through that, it'd be important for him. So a real test in his career, and he's had a couple of, he looks really good. He looks strong. He looks like he has everything to be a top defender. But then there's a question mark over. He's had, he's been at, he's had a couple of difficult seasons. Or the clubs he's been at in the last few years have had a couple of difficult seasons, and he wouldn't want another relegation on his CV after they spent a lot of money and he's brought in there. So big few months for him, and we need him to be playing obviously with Ireland because he's probably going to be the centre of, well, depending on what Stephen plays. If he plays a three, the back would probably be the centre of it. So interesting one for him now. See if he gets himself back in that team. I don't think there's been any word of him having niggles or been injured or that's the reason.
No, it's a left right footer thing. I think that brought in Craig Dawson in the window and bit of experience. And he's playing in the back four, and so it was Collins and Max Kilman, and Kilman's left-sided, so he's playing. So I think there might have been a big goal in Nottingham Forest Man City, subject to VAR, as you say, JD. John. I think Nottingham Forest have equalised, which is a pretty significant goal.
Yeah,
4 minutes
big time
remaining.
in the title race, and Chris Wood, formerly of Burnley. And Newcastle has got it.
And you mentioned Burnley as well. Luke McNally is on loan from Burnley. Just want to give him a mention. He's up against, presumably he's practically marking Chidozie Ogbeni today because Rotherham are against Coventry. Coventry are absolutely flying it since McNally has gone there. And Dan, I think, came up with 14 strikers that Stephen Kelly could feasibly call on if needs be. Ireland have an awful lot of centre backs, even if Collins is having a little bit of a time off at the moment. And McNally getting in the team of the week last week. Another man who'll be watching Chelsea. I think he likes the horses. Ex-League of Ireland.
Johnny likes him.
Thriving today.
Johnny gets on well with him.
He's been on our show. He's a great young lad.
Talking about the title race nearly being twisted in a particular direction here, Johnny.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that hopefully things keep going well for him.
We got to let you go, Kevin Doyle. Thanks so much for being on today, and good luck with that foal.
You broke up on me, lads, but if you can hear me, enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Good luck with the foal, Kevin.
You're gone. I can't hear you.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks very much, Kevin Doyle there.
Yeah, an awful lot of League of Ireland players just kind of making their way, JD, as a sort of second and third tier in Britain at the moment. So it's if you're obviously we love the Premier League, but it's fascinating every Saturday to see where they go.
Amazing what Pep Guardiola must be like thinking now. You go to Arsenal, you play really well. It's a huge game, and then Arsenal come back to win today, and then Nottingham Forest have equalised.
Yeah, like if you would think that it's not that the midweek is written off if it stays this way, but it's sort of. It almost is, in terms of the points differential. It'd be 2 points, wouldn't it? Again,
got a yellow card in 66 minutes as well. I don't know what that was for. Yeah.
So, just from following the reports of this, it does seem that around 10 minutes ago, Haaland had a very good opportunity to score and dived. And just from some of the reporters there suggesting that the City bench were pretty unhappy with him.
Right.
So they're 1-0 up. Again, just didn't seem to be any sense for concern. And then these events are magnified if you end up spurning that position. But you would assume they're going to try and lay siege for whatever time is remaining. But look, there's still 14 games to go. They still have to play City. City welcome Arsenal to their patch.
Yeah.
Like you still see them winning it. But if you thought the midweek was momentum, they're sort of checking their own momentum here if they throw this one away.
Nottingham Forest 1, Man City 1 at the City Ground. Forest are hard to play there. Wolves 0, Bournemouth 1, Everton 1, Leeds 0 is the game we're watching on television there. Everton got a chance of second, but it's gone awry. Chelsea 0, Southampton 1.
If that were to say as it is, JD, they'd have 31 points from 23 games, Chelsea. That is that's relegation. It's unbelievable. Just below Liverpool in the table, but as Dan mentioned, that'd be some fill up for Bazuna if it were to happen.
Brighton 0, Fulham 0, Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 1, 4-2 at Aston Villa earlier on in the Championship. There's been a goal at Ewood Park. Blackburn 1, Swansea 0. Blackpool leads Stoke 1-0, Huddersfield 2, Birmingham City 1. It is Hull 0, Preston 0, Luton 0, Burnley 1, Middlesbrough 2, QPR 0, Rotherham 0, Coventry 1, Sunderland 1, Bristol City 0, Wigan 0, Norwich 0. And in Scotland, Celtic 3-0 lead over Aberdeen now. Rangers 2-0 up away to Livingston. Dundee United 1, St Johnstone 2. Hibernian 2, Kilmarnock 0. St Mirren 1, Ross County 0. Connacht in the rugby 43 points to 34 up against Zebra. Seems like there's a try every 10 seconds in that one. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tries for Connacht in that match. Liverpool kick off away to Newcastle at 5:30. The lovely programme doing the rounds from Sligo Rovers ahead of tonight's game against Shamrock Rovers, like a Roy the Rovers kind of thing.
Have you seen it? Known for that, yeah. I'm sure Seamus Coleman will be rushing off after this now to see Sligo play Shams, as they're known locally. But yeah, actually we mentioned that last night, just the match programme thing, JD, and you're like your nostalgia as well. It does look like, I think Dundalk put up a message that like they're bringing out a programme this year, but sadly the programmes are becoming, sadly they're on the verge of, if not extinction, they are becoming unviable for a lot of clubs, because when I started following Go United, I used to be told, I started writing the match programme, around a quarter of the attendance would buy a programme. Anecdotally, I edited the match programme up until last season. It was closer to a 10th last season, right? Despite the huge effort we put in. And I was at the rugby last Saturday, and match programmes were €8. It's obviously a bit expensive, right? But it's a novelty for me to go to get a rugby game. And the guy who was selling the match programme, he took a card and everything, so he had like a tap facility, and nobody around me was getting a programme, and it does make me sad.
I think for GA it's interesting. I really see a good number of GA now. All Ireland finals and stuff. Yeah, and it's generally seen as like 30%.
Well, you have your team sheet. Well, I mean, something that's happened in the League of Ireland this year is that even printed team sheets are gone, in terms of, even for press, they're doing everything. But like the punters, anyone can download this app and get all the teams at sort of 6:30. It's all gone like completely digitalised.
What's the name of that app?
FEI Connect.
Right.
So,
but I saw a match
scores updates. It's like their version of sort of live score.
I saw a match programme of the late 90s there recently, and it wasn't a huge game, but even this match programme that I saw, like the joy of seeing that and bringing up memories that had either left my brain or had all but left my brain, and you know the characters involved. And you're not going to remember something from 25 years ago if it's not in print anymore, because you're not going to look it up on your phone. Oh yeah, that brings it back to me. So I'm a bit of an old school person in that regard, and I love newspapers, but that is sad for me to see that programmes are going that way, and fair play to Sligo for the effort they're making.
Yeah.
But Mbappe Dele apparently came off at half time for Norwich today.
Oh no, I mean that's not, because we'll wait to see what the situation is, but himself and Ida had started back-to-back games, and it'd been a while like that we've had that sort of run for both of them. So you're sort of hoping half time it's not carried off the pitch. It's maybe more of a discussion, hopefully. And I'm not sure is it anything tactical going on there, but it's obviously a little bit of a worry. They made a double switch at half time, so maybe it was tactical, and maybe that's not such a bad thing. But yeah, I mean the game tonight, like the Shamrock Rovers, it is funny. Like you have the first night of the season, but it probably was missing slightly something, because you have the champions and the team that everyone needs to. Like they're going for their 4 in a row, looking to make history, and you're probably looking to see where they're at in terms of some of the players they've brought in, including like Johnny Kenny. Born and raised in Sligo, his dad is Sligo Rovers club legend.
Okay.
And Johnny then joined Celtic on a 5-year deal. Didn't quite happen for him, and he's loaned back to Shamrock Rovers, which is a little bit of a contentious thing in Sligo, that he's playing for the other Rovers.
Will he get some booze tonight then, will he?
Yeah, presumably he's involved. He's been involved in pre-season.
O'Reilly got a nice reception last night. This is different.
I'd say he'll get a bit, yeah. But I think so other people understand, like he's on loan from Celtic, and I think in these situations, like your parent club will have a big say in where you go. But that will be a good one to. I'm looking forward to watching it on my season pass.
Briefly, JD, Dan had an article during the week about Adam O'Reilly going from, he was on loan at St. Pat's, but like somewhat left field. He ended up going to Derry, but it was very funny before the game last night. There was Adam O'Reilly, his new manager Rory Higgins, and Tim Clancy, the three of them just chatting away there on the pitch, and I was like, penny for your thoughts, because that article I know ruffled a few feathers as well, what Tim was saying about agents and so on.
Premier League matches into injury time now. Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 0, Fulham 1, Chelsea 0, Southampton 1, Everton 1, Leeds 0, Manchester City now held, Nottingham Forest 1-1 at the City Ground, Wolves 0, Bournemouth 1 earlier, Aston Villa 2, Arsenal 4, Liverpool kick off away to Newcastle 5:30. In the Championship it ended Millwall 3, Sheffield United 2, Blackburn 1, Swansea 0 at Adist, Blackpool 1, Stoke 0, Huddersfield 2, Birmingham 1. It is Hull 0, Preston 0, Luton 0, Burnley 1, Middlesbrough 3, QPR 1, Rotherham 0, Coventry 2, Sunderland 1, Bristol City 1, and Wigan 0, Norwich 0. In Scotland, Celtic have beaten Aberdeen 4-0. Rangers are 3-0 up away to Livingston.
Just looking at the stats, I mean, stats are dangerous, but that City Forest game, it's shots off goal 12 for City, shots on goal 6, Forest 1 shot on goal, 2 off target, 74-26 possession, like all the metrics, 658 passes for Man City, 240 for Forest. It looks like the classic sucker punch. And from a position of control, this would be a hell of a 2 points.
When you think where the position that Arsenal were in,
yeah, 2-1 down earlier on,
2-1 down, and even in injury time, this is a big day in the title race. Bigger in some respects than Man City beating Arsenal the way it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan and Johnny, thank you so much.
Thanks, JD. Yeah, great day's football so far. Did James Coleman mean it?
Well, he's been congratulated by actually Wilfred Nancho there, because Everton have beaten Leeds by a goal to 0. Seamus Coleman with the winner, so fair play to him, and he's the toast of Merseyside this evening. He was
being ironically congratulated.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Kevin Doyle wouldn't like that, but actually, there was a bit of angst there.
Yeah, that's my naivety coming out on the radio.
There was a big skirmish in the first half between those teams. So
there you go.
I think he was being given the sort of sarcastic slow hand clap, and
Seamus Coleman well able to look after himself.
was giving it to Van Dijk the other day actually as well. So
he's a lot more of this going on in football at the moment, which is interesting to see. You've got to leave it there, folks. Don't forget Off the Ball back tomorrow 1 to 7 here on News Talk, showcasing 2 live and exclusive commentaries from the Premier League. Stephen Doyle and Brian Kerr providing the call on the game between Manchester United and Leicester from Old Trafford. Then Nathan Murphy and Kenny Cunningham will describe the London derby between Spurs and West Ham from the new White Hart Lane, all on FM. Also the Sunday paper review across our digital and social channels from 11:30. So be sure to join us tomorrow, folks, for some great commentary and conversation. If you missed any of OTB Football Saturday with Kevin Doyle, Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward, or the Saturday panel on the health of Irish boxing with Jason Quigley, Emmett Brennan and Kevin Byrne, you can find the podcasts on the OTB Sports app or listen back wherever you get your pods on the Go Loud network or on Spotify. Thanks for listening to us in your radio across the country here on News Talk today. We will speak tomorrow at 1. Bye-bye.
Give him a ball and he out of grass. He'll give you a move for the perfect pass. Give him a ball and he out of space. He'll give you a move with good leaguer.